Uh, Satish, you have moved from corporate to now your own company. Uh, where do you see your company going with funding? Do you want to keep bootstrapping? Are you bootstrapped? Do you already have investors on board? What's on the valuation side? What's about the investors? How do you take it forward? You're muted.
Sorry about that. So we already have investors on board, and at the same time, we are currently going through the process of our next fundraise. So we are somewhere in the middle of that. Um, and I do see the change that happens in the conversation from comparing how the conversations are happening now versus how it was happening last year. And it goes in all directions. It goes in the technology side, it goes in the ability to execute. It goes into also look in terms like how do we execute at the given scenario now everybody is going through, right? Because and this is also I think a common challenge faced by many deep tech companies, because many of these deep tech platforms, when an organization wants to implement it, they have to change, or there's always a change process associated with it, and whether the companies are willing to do that change process in a time like this. So there's a lot more questions that comes in that direction in terms of like, okay, where do you guys see yourself compared to last year in terms of your product market fit, or are you going to make any changes in terms of how you're approaching your customers, or any change in terms of your target market where you go. So, but yes, it is the conversation or that leads up to how you value a company. It has multiple components, and our experience so far is like the criteria keep changing by the level of funding you're looking at, or the stage at which you are in. Because the first set of investors who come in, they want to be really convinced that okay, there is a real value prop behind what we're doing, and they only looked at the team behind it and whether they had the capability to execute it. And because the dream we presented at that point of time, it was definitely a dream at that point, and it was mostly theoretical, saying that again, we see challenges, and but to overcome those challenges, it needs to work in multiple phases. Like you build product, you build or collaborate with other companies to build standards, and these things are kind of interlinked, because if the standard things doesn't go anywhere, the product might not get the acceptance or the adoption that we are looking for. So there are, but the initial set of investors really look at, okay, is the team really uh, has the ability to execute on all these different fronts with limited resources, right? But now that 1 year down the line, when we're going through the second fundraise, the question is more around how do you focus? Because we do see the place at which we operate. We do see even in deep tech, there are two different categories as we see it. One is deep tech applications that really kind of focused on one industry or one use case, or this is something they will solve. And then there are deep tech platforms, which is something that any organization, be it a startup or other organization, can leverage to build their own domain specific applications, right? So we fall into the second category of a deep tech platform, and which makes it even more challenging to explain it to the investors, because um, it's a platform that can be used anywhere. So I always take the example of like it is something that is very similar to talking about a database, like a storage database, all those things. You cannot really say that okay, this only goes in education or this only goes in pharma. But a real platform game is all about you providing building blocks, and then the other companies will come and build on top of it, and then make domain specific applications based on that. Because as a single company having a dream, or even positioning a dream saying that okay, we can solve every problem and we can build solution for every domain, is not going to be practical at all. So if you're in a platform game, I think the confidence investors really look at is having a strategy like that, also having an understanding that you alone cannot solve everything. You might be understanding the difficulties or opportunities. You might be spotting opportunities in different domains, but you cannot be focused on all those things. You need to, if you're doing it as a platform game, you're really focused on platform and really abstract and kind of build it in a way that other builders can leverage it. But if you are in an application game, then really focus on that application with a very specific use case, right? And that is our experience so far, and the conversations are going good. I'm sure that the next level of conversation is going to be very, very different. And third, and the last point, I'll also say that when we go to investors and with the deep tech thing, always look for the investors who are interested in investing in platform, because the platform game is very different than a deep tech, or platform game is very different than the consumer product game, because it takes time. It takes time to establish. You can build it, you can demo it, but for an organization to adopt it and go through their change process and then kind of make it like, yeah, this is now kind of providing value. It takes time. It is so we also need everybody who is coming in, be it the partners who are helping you to build it in terms of associates, or the investors who are coming in, the advisory board members who get in. We all need to make sure that we are all on the same page, so that we don't get distracted with kind of, you're building with a big dream and then suddenly you say that there is so much of pressures, like, okay, scale down your stuff and then go focus on something else, which might be a good thing from an economic point of view, but it might be pretty hard to kind of get back to the actual story or the thing that you're building. So select your
Absolutely.
partners carefully, both associates and
Absolutely.
investors. Yeah.